we're looking for a product manager to head up OUSD specifically, as well as a product designer. And we're also looking for front-end engineers and senior Solidity engineers. We have an incredible team here at Origin, and if you're watching this, you're looking for a new opportunity and thinking about joining another team, we'd love for you to come join us at Origin. Origin's a really fun place to work. We work on really big, audacious ideas, and we work with really great people. And so, honestly, I can say out of everywhere I've worked my entire career, I've never had as much fun as I've had here at Origin. This is by far the best team I've ever worked with, and we're looking to grow. And so that sounds fun to you. We'd encourage you to check out these listings we have. I dropped some links in the notes. You can look at those roles that I mentioned, as well as a number of our roles across marketing, finance, lots of our positions we're hiring for at Origin.
Very cool. Thanks for that. And then did you add this last announcement to the notes?
Yeah, I just threw this in here, just something for us to keep our eye on. The new automated market maker coming from Andre, VE33. He's coming at it from, obviously AMMs are a very crowded space, but he still thinks there's room for a new player. And with a lot of these things, there's big advantages to getting in on the ground floor. So we'll want to take a good look at this and see if there's any way that we want to get involved with this automated market maker that's coming. So just an FYI for us to go and dig into it.
For sure. Anyone else have any announcements that they want to add, or any comments on those? If you have any questions about open positions, be happy to answer those, or anything else. Okay. We also like to recognize any surprises from the prior week, things that sometimes don't go as planned, or just things that we want to remember going forward. So we had a little one this past week where we reallocated some funds to the convex strategy. Actually, there was quite a bit of reallocation happening based on the community governance action that passed last week. And anyway, as a result of that, there was a period after that allocation where we had the rebase paused because of some slippage that occurred when we moved the funds to the convex strategy. And unfortunately, we had several big yield events, several governance token harvests right before this. And if we had done it in the other, like the sequence had been reversed, then this wouldn't have happened. Slippage is always going to be something we have to deal with, but it would just be good if we're able to plan better for communicating why this is happening or avoiding it happening in the future. I guess, Daniel, we could have called some kind of harvest shortly after. There was probably enough in there to offset the slippage. We just didn't quite catch it until it was wee hours of the morning, I think. Any thoughts about how it played out?
Yeah, all we really just need to do is either after we do something like that is just harvest afterwards, or just hit rebase, or I guess, yeah, just harvest afterwards or time it near our harvest. We would have been harvesting that night, except I think our keeper was in the middle of getting reconfigured by Chainlink, and so we didn't actually run it. It typically would have run a few hours later. But yeah, I think it really just comes down to timing those strategist things so that they funds pull in after we do a strategist action. We lost exactly as much money as we planned on. It was a very minor amount in the grand scheme of things. Nothing bad happened except the perception that the rebasing had stopped. Everything was fine except for, OUSD looked like it stopped rebasing, but everything we'd earned before was still being earned, and we were earning the whole time. I think as we get more users, kind of jumping to a slightly discussion-y thing, as we get more users, And as we've moved to a model where almost all of OUSD's yield comes from selling reward tokens rather than a steady increment, where before about 2/3 of our yield or half of our yield was coming in without rebasing tokens or without selling reward tokens. And so there was always this climbing thing. But now our yield is coming in every 2 days or 3 days in a single spike for those 2 or 3 days, essentially. And so I'm hoping that we don't confuse people who are just watching the next amounts climb very slowly, even though the actual amounts that OUSD is earning is way, way bigger than that, like 10x that.
Maybe approaching it from a different angle, is there any change that we can make to the DApp if, in fact, it turns out there are quite a few people looking at the DApp, which is a great thing. If we could communicate somehow, hey, if this number isn't moving up as fast as you think it should be, or if it's stuck at 0, here are the reasons why that might be the case. Ideally, we would prevent that from being the reality, and it would just be a better experience naturally. But to your point, it is going to kind of be an ongoing concern, I think.
If we showed how much tokens we have to harvest, like the Zapper display that someone made, but to kind of show that we have X amount of tokens waiting to harvest, or because that number will be going up. The thing about that number, though, is that it both goes up and down based on price, and so that's another second concern is when somebody says, "Oh, why have I lost money?" Sometimes you can't win, but that is the reality. Is that most of the time our next rebase amount that's being shown now is maybe a tenth of the actual next rebase that will happen.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any thoughts on this, or we might take it offline and think about how we might approach it? It's mainly a UX concern, I think, but it proved to be a real one late last week. So, like I said, it's good to know that a lot of people are looking at the DApp, and we appreciate them asking why it wasn't climbing. Okay. Well, any other surprises or anything to flag before we jump into liquidity mining update?
Maybe just a short comment. Maybe like a cool thing to do would be the same way, you can click on lifetime earnings. It'd be cool that you can also click on pending yield, and like we said, to increase transparency, we could show, what are all the various tokens that are that need to be claimed, and maybe what are the recent events that could cause a negative amounts in pending yield. So just kind of communicating what's happening under the hood, and maybe we probably won't get it right the first time, and just incrementally making that information more palatable, or something that makes sense to the user.
Yep, great point. And I guess we did take a little bit of action late last week where we brought back the pending rebase number, moved it to the APY page for analytics. Thanks to Doman for cleaning up the mess that I made along the way. But that allowed people to see, a little bit of transparency about why the number's not climbing, because the pending rebase is negative, and then we had to explain why it was negative. So, okay, well, thanks for talking through that. We can check in on what we decide to do maybe next week. Josh, do you want to give an update on the liquidity mining campaign?
Sure. So bribe spending is down slightly this week, due probably to macro conditions and a bit of a cooling off in the market, and a bunch of people got liquidated, and some of our top competitors are feeling the effects of that a little bit more than we are. We're currently on track to win 3.79% of the convex vote on this round. Of course, that'll be closing at midnight UTC tonight, so we'll be able to see the final numbers there. We'll be sitting up this week again because the convex bribes are bi-weekly, and then we'll be the plan right now is to bribe 1.5 million OGN on convex next week to round out the 10-week campaign that we agreed on. And so a big question for us will be figuring out what the next steps are. Do we continue liquidity mining after next week, and what we should do? My position is, quote, art of war. There's no use trying to fight a battle that you can't win. And so the options, as I see them, are we either increase our spending so that we can actually continue growing the pool. Our current budget's not enough to keep the pool growing. It's declining as it is right now, and it's just because we're being outspent. So our options are either to increase our spending or to bow out gracefully and figure out where we could be deploying those incentives that would, help us to achieve our goals in some other way. And there's plenty of other places we could be looking. For example, we could investigate doing direct incentives to OUSD holders, or look at new and upcoming protocols like Andre's new AMM. Maybe we start going hard there. Maybe we focus on Tokmark and try and get integrating some of these new platforms that are coming out. So lots of opportunities, but we need to think through. I'm currently working with Coleman and pulling all the data we have on how our campaign did, as well as trying to project out where things are going with Convex, because most of these projects are doing public governance just like we are. We can actually look at their forums and see what they're asking, what they're discussing as far as budgets for these liquidity mining rewards. Most ones I've looked at are talking about increasing their spend, so it's only going to get worse. So we're going to crunch all the numbers and try and put that forward with a concrete proposal for discussion. So anyway, that's of course top of mind for all of us, but certainly top of mind for me as well, to try and figure out what the next move is. We've been very happy with the success of the campaign, but what got us here isn't necessarily what's going to get us to the next place that we need to go. Going on to the next, actually, let me pause there and see if there's any questions before jump into kind of high level roadmap, directional stuff that's top of mind for me as well. All right, I see Micah changed my emoji from a car to map. Thank you for always being our chief emoji officer, Micah.
You're welcome.
For those who don't know, Micah is like the master of emojis. He knows all of them, and always has the right emoji for the moment. So our high level goal, of course, with OUSD, largely the same, right? We want to make OUSD ubiquitous. We want to make it competitive, and we want to make it sustainable. And so we've made great progress in the last 10 weeks, or not even 10 weeks, but making OUSD, getting the circulating supply up, having really great yields, getting it integrated into a lot of DeFi protocols. As we go forward, as we think about 2022 and what we want to work on, there are a few focus areas that are going to be really important for us. The first is decentralized governance. This is important for regulatory reasons. It's also just the right thing to do. Right? Origin shouldn't be the ones deciding how these funds are allocated. It's not our money. This is a community decision, and we want to create the right tools so that our community can make those educated decisions as we decide things about what the right levels of risk are for the protocol. How much do we focus on diversification versus maximizing yield? How do we think about some of these really important decisions for us? How much do we want to spend on rewards and so forth? And so this is something that we're already working on. Is going to continue being a focus area for us in the new year. Next area we're going to focus on is multi-chain. Frankly, we're behind here. The multi-chain world is here, and it's past time we figure out what our approach is going to be. We don't have all the answers yet. There's a lot of complexity here, particularly having a rebasing token, really wanting to have OUSD be as fungible as possible and pushing back on the idea of having, a dozen different versions of the coin with different APYs. We need to figure out whether, we're going to have all the earning happen on Ethereum, or if it's going to happen on all different platforms and with different strategies on different platforms. We need to figure out, do we want to do cross-chain strategies, right? So you can, if there's a new yield farm on Phantom, do we want to, move all the funds over there and then redistribute that wealth to everyone across all the different chains? I don't know. I don't know what the right solution is here. There's a lot of complexities you can imagine, but we're going to tackle it. It's about time we figure out what our strategy is for this. This will help with our our goal of making OUSD ubiquitous, making it easier for smaller holders to be able to acquire it. Right now it's too much of a whale game for people to be able to come into OUSD, and we want to fix that. Obviously, it's really important to us that OUSD continues to grow. High APYs are our best marketing tool. This is the best thing we have going for us. It's something that we're always going to try and focus on, and that is, while at the same time not introducing too much risk with crazy degen strategies that could blow up on you. As we think about this, one of the areas we're going to be focusing on is new strategies. Like I mentioned, perhaps this is cross-chain strategies. We also want to think more about how we can participate in our own curve pool. Daniel put forward a proposal for this. Has multiple advantages. For example, being able to keep our pool balanced, but we can also start harvesting our the rewards for providing that liquidity. So that helps us get more convex and curve tokens for the protocol. One of the things we want to figure out is, what do we do with those tokens, right? Do we want to start locking them and actually being smarter about the way that we're participating in the curve wars versus just dumping them as soon as we get them, like we are right now. Another thing we want to think about is how we can facilitate more leverage. There's sort of two different ways we can think about this. One is through third-party integrations. So right now we have a proposal up on Maker to have OUSD added as a collateral type on Maker. We have a similar proposal on Abacadabra for our convex tokens to be up there. If we can get one of these through, what it allows people to do is take their OUSD to mint DAI, to mint more OUSD, to mint more DAI, to mint more OUSD, to mint more DAI. Now what you're doing is you're introducing leverage, you're increasing your rewards, and you're not taking on that much risk because you're doing it on stable coins. And so this is obviously something that is very advantageous for OUSD because it increases the amount of supply that we have. Is also very appealing to our holders. So that's how we can do it from third parties. There's also ways that we can do it internally with our own strategies. How do we actually loop some of these strategies around to take advantage of these juicy rewards that are being offered, and then figuring out sort of how much risk that introduces into the system and what the right balance is. This, again, is why decentralized governance is so important, because we want the community and the holders of OUSD to be the ones who are really making these decisions and weighing in on that. And then, of course, the last one is integrations. When we started out, we put a lot of focus on centralized exchanges. How do we get on Binance and Coinbase? That's obviously still a priority for us. But we haven't made as much progress on that front as we'd like, but we've probably made more progress than we expected on the DeFi integrations, getting our Yearn Vault, getting on APY.finance and other places. And so we're going to continue doubling down on this and trying to get OUSD integrated anywhere and everywhere that we can, make it a money Lego in the DeFi world. And of course, pushing on the centralized exchanges as well. We want to be in every wallet. We want to be on every DeFi tracker website. Any possible tool that has tokens, OUSD should be up there. And we're going to continue pushing on this front as hard as we possibly can. And that's what makes OUSD sticky and keeps people using it for the long term. So let me stop there and see if there's any questions on sort of high-level roadmap direction. And if not, we'll pass it back to Micah.
There's a lot there. If anyone has any ideas or suggestions or thoughts on any of that, where will those conversations and that planning be happening? Will we have GitHub issues that we'll start from, or do that in a Discord channel, or what do you think is the best venue, Josh?
So it depends how well baked the ideas are, right? A lot of the ideas start off as a pretty half-baked idea, which we can toss around in Discord. Once we start to have a better sense of what it would look like, then we can move it to a GitHub issue and start working on it. There's a lot of it's going to be tricky for us to figure out where to invest our energy, because there's a lot of work involved with a lot of these little things we're talking about, particularly when we think about how do we move carefully and get everything audited. So if we're rolling out new strategies, we really want to be thinking about, okay, how are we going to get those audited? How are we going to get this done? And so we need some way to sort of stack rank the different opportunities and how we think about the potential rewards for each of them. And so this is something I'll be working on as well, of just helping to organize some of these different opportunities and figure out what how we actually stack rank them as far as priorities go. But for those listening, like, if you have ideas on how we can be doing things, toss it into Discord, get an initial feedback on the idea. If it's well received, good. We can go, write up a Google Doc or build a spreadsheet, kind of showing what the expected returns are, and then we can take it from there.
Anyone else have comments or questions right now? Well, I can't believe you mentioned ranking and prioritization and organization. I have to take this opportunity to share my screen. Let's see here. Hopefully that works.
It does.
You guys see yourself? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So for our sprint planning, we started using a new GitHub project. It's like a beta product that GitHub has, where you can create, like a table view of tasks, which translate to GitHub issues that we're currently working on. You can do a progress board, like a Trello board, Kanban style thing. So we've got all of our GitHub issues from the Origin dollar repo, and I think we can add the analytics repo and whatever we want under the Origin protocol organization. So you can visualize all of those issues in different ways. So like, you could come in here and add a different view if you wanted, filter all kinds of different ways, and group the issues and that sort of thing. So the hard part, of course, Josh, is figuring out how you rank them. But when it comes to communicating that and organizing it, I think that this is probably the tool I would recommend. So we are now, I think, in the middle of a 2-week sprint. Yeah, I think it goes through January 19th or so. And we have, 6 priorities for the engineering team, 4 of them in progress. So if you don't mind, I think we could take a minute to walk through a couple of these, maybe from bottom to the top. Daniel, I think that you are preparing to deploy the gas reduction for the compound strategy very soon.
Yes, my plan is to deploy that today and submit it for the multi-sig votes.
Okay, great. All right, can we call it done then?
No, it's not done. I get to check it off when I finish.
Okay, all right. Well, we need a definition for done. That's what Ed is always telling us.
It's got to be deployed.
I got
They're
you.
live. The upgrade has to have taken place. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. There's too many spots it can die along the way. If it doesn't get executed in a multi-sig or whatever time lock.
Perfect. Okay. And then is Tom back today? I don't think I've seen him
I
in
think
this
he still
meeting.
has a few more days.
Okay.
But I've been talking to him offline, and it's possible he'll be doing the on-chain governance contracts as well as the front end.
Okay. All right. Then let me take your name off of it for now, and I'll put Tom's on it. So that's how this thing works. He is already working on the front end piece of that. And then Doman, you're working on the changing the way the harvest logic works, pulling it out of the vault contract, I think. How's that going? And remind me, that does not include introducing the decentralized triggers for harvest and rebase with appropriate incentives, or does it?
Yeah, it does. So that also opens up, calling rebase by anybody, and making it configurable so that whoever's calling gets the 1% of all rewards or whatever percentage we decide to configure it to. That's going to be on per strategy scope. And yeah, we've joined that just because of the ease of the deploy. We've joined that pull request with the number 36 right there on the list. So also with multiple rewards token. So yeah, it's going to be one big pull request.
All right. So it's all in progress, it sounds like.
Sorry, I didn't catch it. It's all what?
In progress?
Yes.
You're working on
that's right.
all of that right now. Okay, cool.
Well, multiple rewards token is done, but hasn't been tested, so it doesn't deserve a done status. But yeah, working on the other part.
All right. Well, that GitHub project is open to for everyone to be able to see. So feel free to jump in there and check it out. I will link to it from. Well, it's already in the notes, but I'll link to it from the Origin Dollar discussion channel in Discord. And we were looking at the current sprint view there that just had 6 or so issues on it. But there's another tab for the whole backlog, everything that's not in scope. In various buckets, so you might look there and see what else is potentially on the horizon, or things that we thought were a good idea at one time that maybe we should put on the back burner for now. Okay, so that was the sprint planning update, sprint check-in. Anything to add there before we move on to governance proposals?
Just a couple of clarifying questions. Domin, you were saying the percentage reward is configurable per strategy. Is that do these have to be called separately, or is it still you call one harvest and it does all of a harvest in one fell swoop? That's the first question.
Do you get that? If we break it out so that somebody can call individual harvest, let's say we're in a situation where Aave only has 3% of our reward tokens, or let's say Compound has 5% of our reward tokens or something. If it's all in one big chunk, then we're paying the gas for that every time we're harvesting the much bigger one. Which essentially decreases the speed of our harvest overall because you're much less efficient at it. You might only need one compound harvest for every 10 convex harvest. So by breaking it down that way, it gets us faster harvest for the same amount of money. It's more efficient on gas.
Got it.
The other thing is we occasionally might need to poke at the Aave, just start the clock timer ticking. But for everything else, that works well. And if we need to, we can just have that whenever somebody runs any harvest. If the Aave timer needs ticking, poking, poke at it.
That's great. And then are we tackling the rebases yet, or are we punting on that for right now?
This should rebase after it finishes harvesting. Or what, was that your question?
It was more about the daily rebases. Are we wanting to incentivize the daily rebases, or we're still going to keep running on Chainlink Keepers for now?
In the short term, I think they're still on Chainlink Keepers. That side of things just seems to work well. It's very predictable cost. I haven't thought of a brilliant solution for it yet, so I haven't wanted to write any code, so I figure out something that works well. If somebody else figures out a good plan, go for it. But it seemed like the much higher priority was to get these things working cheaper and faster and more often.
I agreed on priority. I'm happy to sort of see how well the harvests work in production and see how much people jump in and take advantage of the free money that we're offering, and that'll be a good, good data set for us to have before we think about the daily rebasing.
Any other questions before we get into governance proposals? So, of course, every week we have a governance proposal for the strategy allocation for OUSD, and I've linked the one from last week, which has been executed. And then there's a new one this week that opens in a few hours. So don't forget to vote early and vote often. Then Josh had a proposal for reducing the exit fee on the Origin Vault. I think we discussed that in this meeting a week or two ago, and we've also discussed it extensively in the governance channel, which is separate from the Origin Dollar channel in Discord. So check out that thread and let us know if you have any thoughts or an opinion on that. Don't think we want to get into it here, but yeah, check out the governance channel in Discord to see what the various opinions were there. Any other governance proposals that I missed, or any meta topics or questions from anyone? Okay. Daniel, did you want to talk a little bit about the wrapped OUSD project that we've discussed in Discord a little bit?
Yeah, like going multi-chain, this is a thing that we've kind of noodled around a little bit in the past, but is seeming more and more like now is the time to do it. So we've been asked several times about having a wrapped version of OUSD for tax reasons. In some jurisdictions, people could argue that you need to report every single time OUSD rebases, and that would be a pain, whereas if it's or just the fact that if you have it in a wrapped token, its value comes in at the time that it's sold, not in the meantime. So that's been a request we've had several times. Another reason I'm not going to go straight in order here is that it's really easy to integrate a non-rebasing token into the existing DeFi ecosystem. Things are just built that way. You stick a certain amount in and you get that same amount of the token out later on, and that's it. So just to allow other people to money legal on top of OUSD and be earning yield, it's just makes sense to have a wrapper token. Lastly, it could make a fairly simple way to go across bridges and getting into that, or be the way that we actually potentially in the future move value across bridges and have what that rebases to be kind of a secondary thing. Lastly, yeah, Nexus Mutuals ask about it. So for all these reasons, it's looking like something that we're strongly considering now. It's going to be fairly simple to write. It's basically an ERC20 token off the shelf, just with an added way of converting OUSD into it and converting it back into OUSD. Yeah, open to comments, and if you can think of any ways that this could go wrong or ways we can do this better or right, would love to hear them either here or in Discord.
Or in GitHub.
Yes, I'm about to add that.
One,
yep.
Yeah, this one's mature enough to have a persisting thread in GitHub. No questions or comments here? The next topic that we've covered a few times recently in this meeting is putting together some short form video content as sort of a double-edged marketing initiative, but also to educate people who are coming to our Discord channel and asking a lot of the same questions over and over again. So I recorded a like getting started with OUSD via our DApp, and I think Aaron is working on. I think he has edited that and will be publishing it today. And then Daniel, you were going to do a conceptual how it works video. How's that coming along?
Yeah, I've got that recorded. I still have a few more like graphic things to make, or like showing things physically. I actually have these on my desk right now for that. So it will come. But yes, I've learned that I find it easy to talk to people and very difficult to talk to a blank screen. So a little self-education there, or self-learning there.
Unless it's with the keyboard, then you talk to the screen quite well. All right. The next topic I wanted to bring up was we stumbled across this project called DeFi Safety, which seems like it's a public good. They don't do audits; they do reviews of projects. Looking at what accounts deployed the contracts, how's the multi-sig set up. Some of these security concerns that are a little bit difficult to investigate for a lot of us. And so I think we reached out to them via the form on their site. I don't know that we've heard anything back from them yet, but it would probably be a good exercise for us to do our own internal review based on their documentation. They have like a really long checklist that's, I think, inspired by the aerospace industry, where checklists are the reason why planes don't fall out of the sky. So I think this would be a worthwhile effort. I pinged Franck about it. He's unable to join us right now, but I think he'll make sure that we get this, get the internal review on our list of priorities for the near future, because as you all know, safety of OUSD and security is always the number one priority. But I just wanted to bring it up because if anyone watching happens to know the team at DeFi Safety, we'd love to get an introduction to them and see what it would take to get them to do a formal review, at the same time we do ours or shortly after, or whatever the case is. The last discussion topic that we had on the agenda was, Josh, you mentioned that the OUSD earn page on the DApp currently points to Curve, but it's a little bit misguided because what people really want to do is go use Convex now. But since the current campaign was originally scheduled to only last another week or so, I wanted to ask, is this something we want to mess with right now, or hold off until we know what the bigger picture is?
My vote would either be just remove it, or just wait a little bit until we have better clarity on what's happening on the campaign. But I do think it's a little confusing for people to come in and see that and not sure where it all fits.
Yeah, and Daniel, you left a comment in the doc. I think you're right that that's also a good place to have a reminder that you don't have to do this to earn.
Yeah, I've seen some people I've converted to OUSD in real life have problems with this, and I've seen it mentioned in our Discord as well. Some people, when you look at earn in the menu, and particularly if you're DeFi experienced, you think I have to go do something now that I bought this thing. And if you're not DeFi experienced, that's what actually I've seen people's first click on the site was on earn, not on get OUSD.
Yep, great reminder. So yeah, let's do something about it. Add something, remove something, somewhere in between. Any other topics that we didn't get to? Yeah, Doman?
Yeah, maybe also good to keep in mind that of the Curve LP tokens that it's currently, I think there are 1 million LP tokens in Curve Gauge and like 330 million in Convex. So whoever's staking is not getting confused, and not a lot of people are staking in Curve. So yeah, it's probably of low importance, but it's also, I totally agree, it's completely confusing.
All right.
I mean, it'd be a 2-minute job to just remove it if we just want to nix it right now.
Yeah, I like Daniel's suggestion though that we add some kind of reminder, because once you remove that, it's even potentially more confusing, because the only thing left on the page is OGN staking, which we know people get confused by. But yeah, I'll follow up with Domin and figure out what we want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like a
Okay.
5-minute job.
Or it's a 30-second job if we just remove the tab, but that's a different conversation. Okay. What else do we want to talk about before we go? The last thing I had on the list was time for introductions. If you weren't here at the beginning, I was suggesting that if you have not said hello before, we'd love to know who you are, what you're working on, how you found us, that sort of thing. So feel free to unmute right now if you'd like to introduce yourself. Otherwise, consider coming back next week to do that. Okay. Well, I think that's all that we have on the agenda. Have a couple action
Maybe
items,
just
but they're just for me. Yeah, Domin?
sorry, just one. I really missed the. Is there a raise hand feature? It's not right here on the Discord. I just remembered. Have we reached out to the Justin Bram? You know, the guy on YouTube who's doing these very cool explanatory videos.
Yep.
If he would
Yep.
also do one.
He's already made one.
Yeah.
So he already made a great video about OUSD about 3 months ago, and have a call scheduled with him, I think tomorrow, just to catch up and talk about maybe some stuff he wants to talk about, but also potentially doing a refresh on that since things have changed a bit.
Oh, I missed that. Gotta find it. Thanks.
And it's also worth noting that the Discord server that he runs, we've had several organic users come from that Discord server. I guess it's natural, probably after he published that video. All right. Any other closing thoughts, or shall we wrap it up? See you next week. Same time, same server.
Thanks, all.
Have a great one. Bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.